Hi everyone, welcome back to Crafting at Whimsy Wonderland. My name is Stacy. I'm going to show you two ways to make a farmhouse scale. I've done a farmhouse scale on my channel about a year ago or so, but I've changed it up and this one's going to be a little bit bigger and I think a little bit sturdier. But I have two different options to do it. And for the one option, you're going to need one of these containers from the Dollar Tree. They have the snap-on lids, and this one is a 6.75 cup Sure Fresh clip lock closure. You don't need the lid, you just need the container. You're going to need one of these floral dishes from the Dollar Tree. They sell those where the succulents are. You're going to need a base. I do not have a big wooden box frame type thing from Dollar Tree, but I do have some. I got this one for 89 cents in the clearance section at Hobby Lobby, and what I like about it is it's wood, but it's got this tin on it, and I think that's going to make this project look really cool because I'll clean off the writing on this. Hopefully it'll come off pretty easily, and I'm not going to do anything to this base because it's already been stained. I'll probably put some little felt feet or plastic feet on it just to keep it up in case I spill something on my counter. Okay, so you're going to need that, and you're going to need one of these dollhouse tables from the toy section. Okay, it's really thin, but this is what's going to play as our riser between the bowl and the base of the scale. Save this because I'm going to do something I haven't done before, and it'll be interesting to learn. All right, and then you're going to need I'm using a big lid, but if you don't have a big metal lid, I found this at a thrift store for $1, so I grabbed it. If you don't have that, you can use these acrylic round plates. There's 8 of them in a pack, and they're about 5 or 6 inches. But they're clear plastic acrylic, and you can sandwich. This is for putting your clock face on, and you can sandwich your clock face between 2 of those. But I'm going to decoupage mine in here because I like the look of having that edge around it. Now, if you don't have one of these, this is a great time with the Christmas clearance of cookies and all that. Buy a small cookie tin and use the cookie tin lid, or those little, they had butter cookies at the Dollar Tree at the beginning of Christmas. If you got any of those in the small tins about this size, that would work perfectly. Okay, the lid of it. So I've got this, and then you're going to need to get a clock, or not a clock, a vintage scale face. And what I did is I went onto my Google search and I just typed in free printable vintage scale face. And this was the very first one that popped up. There's tons of them. Choose the one you like that fits your decor the best. I wanted a vintage, worn out, rusted looking face, and so that's what I printed. And then you just need to size it for the inside of your lid or your plate depending on what you're using. Okay, so that's for the one scale, and the other scale is going to be what I showed you in my Dollar Tree haul the other day. I've got one of these bowls from the Dollar Tree. It's a Cooking Concepts microwave safe white bowl. That's going to be our base, and I've got a loaf pan. That's going to be our bowl. And then I need something in between, and I think I can use I can use the table for it, or I can use some Jenga blocks. And sorry, get these open. I'm not quite sure how many I would need. Let's just see here. I'm thinking you could glue them together like this. So you have 4 of them, and that could be your riser as well. But I think I like the look of the table better. But if you can't find the table, then Jenga blocks will do. I just happen to have 2 of the little tables, so that will come in handy for me. Alright, this one I'm not going to put a base on because it's already got this little lip here, and so I'm going to leave that as is. And I'm going to use, for this one, a wide mouth canning jar lid and ring, and I'm going to just put the lid into the ring upside down and glue it in. But first I'm going to Mod Podge my clock face to it, and when I printed out the big one, I also just printed out a little one. Just put it into your whatever software you use to print stuff and size it. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I need to do is take all of these packaging pieces off and get everything cleaned up and ready to go. So you just want to peel off all your stickers. Now this one with the metal loaf pan, I think I'm going to paint it white and then give it a chippy enamel look. But for this big one, I'm going to paint it red. And I am not going to paint the inside of the bowl. And the reason I'm not going to paint the inside of the bowl is because I want to be able to put fruit in it. And if I put spray paint in there, spray paint is not non-toxic or food safe. So I can't do that. So what I'm going to do, because the red one is going to go on this base, I am going to assemble everything except I'm not going to glue it to the base until I'm all done. Okay, so that I need to clean off, but we're going to glue the table to the bowl and all that jazz. So the first thing I need to do is clean my surfaces, that especially where the glue is going to happen. And for my glue, I've never used this before, so we're going to learn together. I'm going to use this 2-part quick setting epoxy by Super Glue. I got this at the Dollar Tree. It says it dries clear and it dries in 15 minutes. So I'm hoping that that will be a good thing. I opened the wrong one. Also, wherever things are going to glue together, I'm going to rough them up with sandpaper just to make sure I get a good adhesion to each of my products. Okay, prepping your surface is always important. This bowl is very shiny, so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of scratch it up all the way around so that when I go to spray paint it, the paint takes evenly. I know I'm doing chippy enamel and I could just leave it white, but I want it to be all the same color of white, and then it'll just look more cohesive when it's all done. Okay, and then we will need to do the edge of this. And I'm just going to rough up the feet of my 2 tables. Wash everything down. Make sure your scale faces are out of the way so that you don't do what I've done before and spill stuff on them. Okay, this is just alcohol on a cotton pad. Clean everything up. All right, I think we are ready to start gluing some things together. I like to glue things together before I paint them because I think it just kind of helps things stick together a little better. Now, this double epoxy says that it will cure in 15 minutes, but it says you have to mix it with a non-metal stirrer. So you squeeze equal parts out onto something plastic or cardboard and mix it with a plastic or wooden stirring stick. So I'm going to squeeze it into the bubble blister pack thing of my tables. It says roughen smooth surfaces for good adhesion. Cap needs to come off. It says to point the tips away from you while you break the caps away. Okay. And then And then it says to do not mix on metal. Squeeze out equal parts. Goodness. Looks like I need to break that out. Just press down slowly on the plunger, but it looks like the plunger is hitting the plastic right there. But it doesn't say I need to break anything out. Ooh, I'm only getting stuff coming out of one. I feel like that needs to break out of there. Hopefully I'm not destroying this. Okay. My one side is not, there we go. Well, I'm just going to squeeze the whole tube. Ooh, that's stinky. Mix it together. And then I've got 5 minutes. You got to mix it until it all becomes one color. All right. So we are going to glue this to the bottom. I would recommend painting the bottom side of this table before you attach anything more. For the metal loaf pan, you can go ahead and glue the top or the table to the metal pan like I'm doing here, but when you glue it to the plastic bowl, the top side of the table needs to be painted because you see it through the bottom of the bowl. So I've got this big oval wood colored spot on my bowl because I didn't paint the table first. So go ahead and paint your tables before you glue them together. I would wait to glue everything else, but go ahead and paint those tables. And once you get the top and the bottom pieces glued with the table in between, it's really hard to paint the table after that. So even though I assemble everything unpainted, please paint the tables first because they're difficult to paint once everything's assembled. I didn't figure that out until it was too late. So I just want to give you a heads up. Don't do exactly like I'm doing here. Paint your tables first. This is a very interesting smell. I've never used epoxy before, so I don't know if I'm doing this right, but this seems to be what the directions are saying. Apply it to both. And then stick it down. Oh, that one's grabbing. This one's starting to grab. Okay, then, oops, I just got some on my, sticking the tray to the bowl. Okay, that's going to need to dry. And then I'm taking the table that's on the bottom of the bread pan, and I'm just putting a good dollop on here because it's going to be impossible to figure out where exactly I need to put the glue to put it on the plastic part. So I'm putting a big dollop and then centering it and then just kind of wiggling it around so that it gets good adhesion. Eyeballing it to make sure it's centered or centered-ish. Okay, so that's what that one's looking like. Okay, now these need 15 minutes or so to dry, and then I'll take everything outside and paint it. I used up most of that whole tube. Starting to set, so I think I'm done with it. I didn't quite need the whole tube, but I'll use a little bit for out of the second tube I bought to glue the faces on. So now I've got this that I need to work on, and I've got some acetone here. When I buy acetone, I don't buy it in nail polish form. I buy it from the hardware section, and then I keep it in a bottle that is acetone fingernail polish, because that bottle will be strong enough, and that will just wash that away. It has to be acetone or it won't work. If it's just regular nail polish, it's not going to take this paint off of here. Okay, has to be acetone. So get the majority of it off and then get a clean pad, because you don't want black everywhere. Or maybe you do. I'm just going to clean the edges here and make sure I've got the whole piece of metal clean. Okay. Now I'm not going to do anything else to this, except maybe add some little legs of some sort, and these will work perfectly, and that'll just boost it up off of my counter. I'm going to go ahead and use E6000 to glue the legs in. I'm just going to use the card from this. Okay, so I'm just putting a little line on there with a pencil so that I know where my glue needs to go. Okay, so I'm just going to glue on the two sides that are actually going to touch the base. I'm just going to spread that around a little bit and push that in. I need to make sure that all four of my pieces are the same height, because that could cause a problem. Alrighty. You can hold it together with hot glue too, but I don't like to put hot glue with my E6000 because the hot glue builds up and then you don't get as tight of a seal with your E6000. Now, I don't know if you can see that very well, but that is going to give me a little bit of a lip under there so that if I spill something, if anything gets ruined, it's just going to be these little feet and not this wooden. This is like press board, and so if water spilt on that, it would soak that water up so fast. So I'm going to put those little Jenga block feet on there, and I might even clear coat this whole thing. But I'm going to turn this upside down so that it has a little bit of weight to hold the, whoop, I lost one. Put a little fresh glue on there. Okay, make sure those are in there. And it's not wobbly, so I can just set that there to dry. All right, everything needs time to dry for about 15-20 minutes, and then I will take the pieces outside and paint them, and then we will come back in and assemble them. I'm not going to film painting because I think you guys can figure out how to use a spray can and don't need to watch me do that. So it's hard to set my camera up outside with the painting. So I will come back and finish this when everything is all dried and ready to go. Alright, so my scales have been painted. I spray painted this one with red. Now, here's a tip. If you plan on, I only painted the outside of this because I wanted to be able to put fruit into the bowl, and I didn't want to put paint on here that wasn't food safe. So, not thinking about it, when I glued the table on to be the support underneath, I should have painted the top of my table right here red before I glued it on, and then that way I wouldn't have that. So I'm just going to put some burlap down in the bottom, and I think that'll be fine. So that's what the red one's turning out to be. And then the white one gave me a little more trouble. I think it was just the spray paint was old and it was too cold and it didn't paint well. So then I just came in and repainted the top of it with white chalk paint just to give it a good coating, and we still need to do the black enamel trimming bits on there. Okay. But first I want to get the clock faces going so they can dry. So for the red one, I have a great big lid that came off of a like an old-fashioned mason jar drink server for my daughter's wedding, one that broke. But I always keep lids and things because you never know what you might need a lid for. And then the one that we're going to use on the white scale is just a wide mouth mason jar lid. And I've painted the ring white, and then I'm going to decoupage the clock face onto the flat insert. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to cut these things out. Let me grab my scissors here. And I'm just going to start by cutting around the edge of the face. Now the way I got this face is I printed it out. I went onto my Google search and I typed in the words vintage scale, or no, I'm sorry, free printable vintage scale face. And this was the very first one that popped up. Just put it into, I don't know, my husband did it for me. He put it into whatever graphic software he had, sized it to the size I needed, and printed it out. Okay, whatever size you need is going to depend on what kind of lid you have or what you are going to be using to put your scale face on. Now, this lid is about the same size as these clear plastic plates from the Dollar Tree. It's 8 round plates. It doesn't say a size on them, but they are about 6 inches. Okay, so you can use these, and I'll show you what that looks like as well. I'm not going to glue one of these on, but I can show you the look that you would get with this. So you need 2 for each scale face if you're going to use these plates. And what you would do is Mod Podge it onto one, and then you're going to put your other one on top, and then you have it encased in plastic like it is a scale face. You can also glue them together this way and have a rounded scale face. So that's up to you. I am thinking about putting my scale face in here and then putting one of these over the top to seal it in and make it look like it's really inside of a plastic container. That's kind of an idea I'm toying with. I don't know. Oh, that would be even better. Turn around the other way. Then it's inside of plastic like it would be at the grocery store. Okay, so got this one cut and ready to glue in, and I just need to cut out this one. I used the exact same scale face for both of these, just sized it a different size. Now I would have liked to have had a bigger lid for my scale face on my white scale. but I couldn't find a lid that I've been saving for this project forever. And I don't know where it has gotten off to. Anyway, so this would go inside there, but I won't have a plastic over it. And it just feels kind of small. So I'm kind of leaning towards this, putting this in the middle. Putting it through like that and painting black around it. I just want this to be bigger. So I might print another one. I don't know. Part of me thinks it would be nice to have it smaller. It's just one of those things, you know. It's small, but I think it could look good. I think it would glue nicely on there. And then it wouldn't be in the way of anything. So I'm thinking of that. Let's just do that and call it good. Sorry, I'm very indecisive today. So I'm going to get my Mod Podge and I'm going to put it down inside of my lid. I went ahead and painted the whole lid nicely so that if the clock or the scale face didn't fit exactly or some ended up showing, it wouldn't be that big a deal. There would be color. It's hard to get in there and press it down, so I'm kind of just using my paintbrush full of Mod Podge to push that down. I'm getting a nice rim around it. I'm getting some bubbles, so I'm just going to push them down. It's kind of messing with my ink a little bit, not liking that. That's okay, it's supposed to look vintage. Just kind of pushing this one down into the edges of the lid. Okay. As bubbles form, just push them down with your Mod Podge brush. Just make sure you have plenty of Mod Podge on the brush so that it doesn't stick. And let that sit for a couple minutes. Alright, while the lid is drying, the Mod Podge on the lid, I'm going to go ahead and attach this to the base. I'm thinking that the scale face will go on like that. And you wouldn't have to put this base on it if you didn't want to, but this the scale face is large, so I kind of feel like it needs the base, and I like the way the metal looks. It just looks like it's supposed to be there. And this way I had put the little feet on it, if you remember, and this will lift it up off of the counter a little bit and just make it a more substantial piece. Totally would be okay to be down like this. You could just mount this up a little bit higher. That would be fine too. In fact, maybe that's what I'll do. Let's take a look. It's just so hard to decide. It's like, how is this going to best serve my purpose? It's all plastic, so if it gets damp, it's okay. It's got this edge along the bottom, so it is lifted up a little bit off of the counter. And I do have this that could just glue flat on there. let's do that. Let's forego the extra step on the base, and let's go ahead and just glue that on. Okay, so while this Mod Podge is drying, I'm going to also start working on getting this ring and lid glued together. And for that, I'm going to use some super glue gel if it hasn't hardened up inside. It might be toast and I might not be able to do this, but I'm getting a little bit out. So I'm just going to put some dots around on the inside and the edge where it's going to touch. It's really hard to see because not a lot is coming out. It's almost hardened up on me. Let's see what else we have here. This glue is just, I think, a little past its prime. I love to use the super glue gel whenever I can because it's just some nice glue to work with. I don't find very often, or actually I don't think I've ever found, a super glue gel in the minis. I wish. That would be really nice. Okay, so I've got little dots of glue all the way around the inside of there. I'm just going to drop that scale face in there and hope for the best. Doesn't feel like it's grabbing where I've got the glue. Oh, it's got glue in there. All right. We're going to put a couple globs of hot glue in there to help hold it in place while super glue does its trick. So I'm putting super glue all the way around the edge of my jar ring that's got my scale face in it. And I am going to put a big old glob of hot glue right there in the middle. And that hot glue is going to hold it in place while the super glue does its job. Okay, we're going to let that dry for a few minutes. And we're going to go ahead and glue the scale face on this one too. Let me just prep a little bit more. Hold on. I'm going to take my heat gun and just make sure that this Mod Podge is dry. Okay, so I've lined up my clock face and I've taken a pencil and drawn a line here on the back because this is wider than the base, okay? And I'm going to put my glue in between there. I'm going to use super glue and hot glue combo. Okay, and I'm going to put some hot glue right smack in the middle, and then making sure I have my scale facing up, I'm going to pop that onto the front. Okay, carefully grabbing from, oh, that's not good. Pushing this down. Gonna hold this for a little bit and then I will attack fixing that. Apparently that epoxy glue didn't like that. And I'm surprised that that fell off because the epoxy has been on there for almost a week now. And it's been stuck in the back corner of my craft room. And pretty much undisturbed. I'm just trying to make sure that the super glue is getting a good connection with the plastic, so I don't want that to fall away. So, wonder if I have enough super glue left in here to put on each of the feet. Let's see. I do. Let's just try super gluing it. I think I just super glued the thing to my hand. All right. put some weight in there. And here we go again. We wait. We wait for things to dry. Story of my life in the craft room. All right, I'm going to give these maybe overnight. I don't know. I've got some other projects I want to get to today, and we'll get back to these as soon as they're dry. This one's going to get a chippy enamel look, and I think this one is just going to get left the way it is. I don't know. We'll see. I'm a little bit anxious about what's happening here with the feet. It's not sitting where it needs to sit. So maybe just a little hot glue on those might do the trick as well. I don't know. I've never made one using the Barbie table before. It's just it was very popular on some YouTube channels, and so we're going to give it a try. All right, I'll be back when these are ready for the next step. Pay no attention about the mess in the background. I have so many projects I'm working on for you guys. All right, so this scale is all dry. Everything's ready to go. We need to put the enamel black line on here. So I've got some Waverly chalk paint in the color ink in my palette. And what I'm going to do is just paint the top edge. I'm going to go ahead and paint the whole edge of this loaf pan. I'm not going to mask it. I'm going to hope that my hand will be steady enough. Some days it is, and some days it isn't. The trick I've found to this is just to make sure you've got plenty of paint on your brush, and then just try to make one steady swoop instead of going back and forth. Okay, and then on the edge, go ahead and touch that up as well. I don't have the most steady hands on the planet for lining things, so I don't do this look a lot, but I think this particular scale calls for it. It's not perfect, but you know what? It'll do. And then I think just gonna make sure the edge is done nicely. All right, and then I think that we need some black down here on the bottom. And then I want a little black on here. All right. I think I kind of like that. Now you could do like little chippy lines on it if you wanted. You can leave it clean. Just kind of hit it with black where there would be some normal wear and tear. Be careful not to put so many spots on there that it starts to look like a cow. Focus on your corners. Where you might see some wear and tear. Same on the inside if you want to put some little spots in there where it may have chipped. I think I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, once this is dry, it will get a clear coat. The red scale is already dry and we'll get a clear coat. As soon as this one's dry, I'll take them out and do it at the same time. Now, it is absolutely not perfect, and that's the way I was going for it. You can see the inside of the scale face is not perfect. And here's what I did to the inside of the pan. Okay, and it's just going to be a cute little piece to put some greenery in, maybe a plant to brighten up a dark corner in my kitchen. Okay, so I will come back and show you the two scales once they are completely finished, and maybe I'll decorate them up a little bit for you. Alright guys, here are my two finished scales. This one is going to be used as a fruit bowl. We'll see. I have to see if that little table support there is going to be strong enough. But I love how it came out. I will tell you that it did bubble. You can see that texture on there. But I'm kind of just embracing that, and I went ahead after the clear coat dried and bubbled it like this. I went ahead and sprayed it again, and I'm okay with the bubbles on it. I think it just adds a little texture, and I think it'll be a good thing. And then this one, I like how it turned out. I'm probably going to put a plant in this one. I'm thinking I've got a fresh basil plant, and I'm thinking of putting a plastic tray down in there and putting some herbs in this one. Either that, or I will do it up with like a candle and a plant, a fake plant, and maybe a dishcloth or something. And I also plan on putting a dishcloth in the bottom of this one. I didn't paint the inside so that it would stay food safe, but I thought a cute little farmhouse towel kind of hanging over the side and lining the bottom would be really cute. So that's my ideas for my two scales, and hopefully they'll look really cute in my kitchen. I think they will. All right, let me know what you're thinking about these projects in the comment section below. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Are you going to try to make some of these scales for yourself? This one was definitely the easiest to make. I will tell you though, everything that I glued together with that epoxy popped apart. So I don't recommend the two-part epoxy for these. I went right back to my E6000 and everything is holding together nicely. So that's what I would recommend. Anyway, let me know if you're going to give it a try, if you have some different pieces you're going to use for your bases. I noticed that today when I went to Dollar Tree that they had the big square flower pots back in that a lot of people are using for the base with this plate or bowl. So that is another option. I like the simplicity of this one. I think it's kind of cute. So let me know what you're thinking. Which one of these is your favorite? And let me know if you'll be doing one yourself. All right, this has been Crafting at Whimsy Wonderland. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.